Welcome to the Explainer. So, have you ever actually stopped to wonder why you do the things you do when absolutely no one else is looking? Well, today we're decoding the hidden psychology behind your everyday habits. And we're going to start with an environment you probably spend honestly hours in every single week: your vehicle. What if I told you that the space right there behind your steering wheel is actually this incredibly powerful psychological diagnostic tool?
Okay, let's dive right into this. Picture this highly relatable scenario. Have you ever opened your car door to give a friend a ride, only to spend the next 30 seconds just frantically shoving old coffee cups, random gym clothes, and crumpled receipts into the backseat? You probably just played it off, apologized, and said something like, sorry, I'm a bit of a mess. But if your car looks like a graveyard of daily errands, there's actually a much, much deeper psychological narrative at play here. The absolutely crucial point is this. Psychology suggests that the state of your car is literally a mirror of your internal world. It's not just about being, quote-unquote, unorganized or lacking discipline. No way. It's actually a direct window into how your brain is actively managing its energy, how it handles stress, and how it prioritizes what truly matters in your life. Our source material points out that your clutter, it might actually be a profound sign of exactly how your unique mind is wired. Section 1. Physical noise and cortisol, the silent drain on your brain. Let's move to our first deep dive and explore the biological and cognitive impact of what really looks like harmless everyday clutter. Now, you might think those empty water bottles rattling around in the cup holder are totally harmless, right? But research shows they're actually doing active biological damage by creating what's called physical noise. See, every single piece of clutter is extra visual information. When your environment is chaotic, your brain is constantly forced to process visual data that has absolutely nothing to do with driving. And what happens when your working memory gets overloaded by all this mess? It directly spikes your cortisol, which is your body's primary stress hormone. You are chemically stressing yourself out just by sitting there in the driver's seat. This constant processing silently drains your cognitive bandwidth. Because, you don't actively stare at the mess all the time, right? You try to ignore it. But by ignoring it, you enter what psychologists actually call a state of chronic stress adaptation. You get so used to the noise that you don't even realize it's creating a silent drain on your cognitive bandwidth. Your mental capacity is just being taxed in the background, 24/7. And this is exactly why, after a long drive in a messy car, even simple decisions at work or at home can feel incredibly hard. Your brain is already completely exhausted just from ignoring your environment. But here is where we flip the script. Section 2, the selective organization theory, or as I like to call it, the genius excuse. For some of you listening, that mess isn't laziness at all. It's actually a fascinating psychological strategy. Have you ever noticed that while your car might look like a total disaster zone, your digital files, your work projects, or those ideas you deeply care about are perfectly structured? It's like a giant puzzle. High IQ minds often don't organize everything equally. They deliberately ignore surface aesthetics, like cleaning out the passenger footwell, so they can perfectly structure their highly stimulating inner world. So what does this all mean? Well, it means your messy car isn't a sign of laziness. It's actually a sign of mental efficiency. You're reallocating your mental energy towards things that actually compound over time. You're basically saving your brain power for learning, for creating, and for the goals you truly care about. It's selectively organized. You're prioritizing your inner world over surface-level aesthetics. So if you've ever needed a genius excuse for your messy car, congratulations, science actually backs you up on this one. However, we definitely have to look at both sides of the coin here. Section 3, avoidance and silent collapse, escaping discomfort through mess. If your car stays a disaster zone for weeks on end, we need to look at the darker truths of your psychological iceberg. This is known as avoidance anxiety. Psychologists have found that we frequently use entertainment, or in this specific case, mess, as a form of escape behavior. Think about it for a second. If you're avoiding cleaning your car, you might actually be using the mess subconsciously to avoid the clear mental space that comes with a clean environment. Because, once the space is clean and clear, there's nowhere left to hide. You suddenly have to face that daunting life goal or that difficult project you just haven't started yet. The mess literally becomes a protective barrier against discomfort. And this avoidance behavior eventually builds into what is called the silent collapse. This is absolutely vital to understand. The silent collapse happens when the tiny habits you keep ignoring, like, say, leaving trash in the car day after day, slowly drain your confidence and your clarity long before you ever notice things are actually falling apart. It's a slow erosion of your self-trust. The mess isn't just in the car anymore, right? It's slowly leaking into how you view your own capability to manage your life. Now let's descend even deeper. Section 4, Rebellion Against Childhood Pressure, Deprogramming from Perfection. For some, a messy car might actually be a subconscious rebellion rooted heavily in the past. Interestingly enough, for those who grew up a little too fast, a messy car can be a form of subconscious rebellion. If you were a child who faced the pressure of parentification, which means you had to be really responsible for others at a young age, your adult nervous system might associate a perfectly clean space with the fear of being watched or judged. Keeping your car, which is, your private, personal space, a little bit messy might actually be your brain's way of finally allowing itself to rest. It's essentially deprogramming from the heavy weight of always having to be the strong one.
So, how do we resurface? Section 5, Meta-awareness and Kaizen, Reclaiming Control of Your Space. Let's talk about how to fix this internal and external clutter without getting completely overwhelmed in the process.
Here is your structured action plan. And remember, the goal isn't just to magically have a spotless car. It's to shift your behavior sustainably. Step 1, practice meta-awareness. Take a step back and actively observe how your environment is shaping your thoughts. Step 2, apply friction theory. Make the right choice easy by simply adding a small trash bag to your vehicle. Just reduce the friction of cleaning. And step 3, embrace Kaizen. This is that incredible Japanese habit of continuous, tiny improvement. Don't try to clean the whole car today. Actually, scratch that. Don't even think about the whole car. Just commit to taking one single item out with you every time you park. This tiny act boosts your dopamine and makes progress feel totally achievable rather than overwhelming. As we wrap up this explainer, I really want to leave you with this final, provocative thought. What deeper story is your clutter telling? If you realize today that your car is telling a much deeper story about your mind than you originally thought, hey, you are not alone. The moment you start noticing these patterns, whether it's mental inefficiency, avoidance anxiety, or childhood rebellion, is the exact moment you begin to regain your internal locus of control. Sometimes, the very first step toward a highly focused and powerful mind is simply clearing the noise. So take a look at your dashboard tomorrow morning and ask yourself, what is it trying to tell you?